Good morning, Tom's River, Ocean County, New Jersey, and the Banana Republic of America. I'm Dr. Barbara Schneider, here live today on Radio Free America. It is Saturday, August 20th, 2022, and we are live today. As always, I would like to thank Dr. Michael Katchmar for the use of his beautiful studio, and I'd like to thank Jeremy across from me for his technical expertise. Welcome all my...
Let me shut that off. I'm sorry.
So welcome to all my old and new listeners. I would like to tell you that we are on several social media platforms. We may get turned off. Please start listening to us on Rumble and other social media. The truth is here, but it is censored, especially in this political climate. And
well, Twitter announced recently, like as of yesterday, I think, that they are going to be stricter on what, and this is the sentence, what they deem to be or disinformation. So it's not even, they're not even looking for what's really true or false. It's just what they deem.
And it's not just medical, it's political disinformation.
So unfortunately, we're going to have to ask our Barbara babes in the description, wherever you're watching us. You should see a link to our Rumble page for our live listeners, our podcast listeners. You won't have to worry, I don't think. But for our live listeners, please hop onto Rumble and get used to using that, maybe, because if they do pull our plug, we have that as our back door. So anyway, that was unfortunately this is what was it 1984? Yeah, I mean that's it.
And we're live on Facebook.
Yes, we're live on Facebook right now. We're live on YouTube and Rumble.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, and please share these episodes so we can get some information out there.
We already got Liz saying good morning to Dr. Barbara, Jeremy, and Patriots, and Corinne. Good morning. These are I love our girls. Yeah.
Okay,
and Sean's here. Yes, working on fascist book.
Okay, so I'd like to start by advertising local business, the backbone of our economy. And they are not small to the owners, but they are small in the fact that they're not big business. So TSF Disposal, if you need a dumpster for your garbage, he's the man to call. You can call directly or book online. Since housing prices are off the wall and interest rates are rising, it pays to renovate. You'll need a dumpster. Call TSF. Lakeside Diner, great place on in Forked River on Lacey Road.
Yeah.
C&G Country Cafe, 2 locations, Tom's River Heating and Air Conditioning. That's the Petty family. Please patronize our local businesses. For your beauty needs, Frank and Maria's, Allure Salon, and Harmony Salon. Don't say gray, and beauty is never underrated. Please go in for whatever, something. Ken's Hardware on Fisher Boulevard. You don't need to go to the big chains. If they don't have it, they'll get it for you. Let's Go Brandon on Route 37 for your political needs. The brewery and the distillery downtown Tom's River for your spirits. Brooklyn Bistro, a great neighborhood restaurant. The Tiny Greenhouse on Princeton Avenue for your plants, house plants. Red Rose Bakery, a great butter bakery. They are, and the bread, terrific. And if you need to work it off, Attilis Gym in Belmore, a little west of here, but it's a great gym with great atmosphere.
Yeah.
So the crime in the country is disproportionately affecting citizens and private businesses. So on the beach in our county, children come into stores like Walgreens and Rite Aid. They have backpacks. They load up their backpacks with stuff and walk out without paying. Employees are instructed to do nothing. This lawlessness is a result of left-wing management where if you steal, burn down a building, it's okay. This is a total breakdown of law. And I'd like to do a little quick review of the philosophy of private property. John Locke, who was the favorite philosopher of our founding fathers, believed that one of the central roles of government is to protect the individual's property. Yeah, fast forward to 2022. And John Adams once said, the moment the idea is admitted into society that property is not as sacred as the laws of God, and that there is not a force of law and public justice to protect it, anarchy and tyranny commence. Remember, the left wing's idea is that you will own nothing and be happy. That's not the basis of America. George Washington said, freedom and property rights are inseparable. You can't have one without the other. That's why there are so many provisions in the Constitution for this. Even among the French, who were our allies in the Revolutionary War, French free trade advocate Frederick Bastiat declared, life, liberty, and property do not exist because men have made laws.
That son of a Bastiat.
On the contrary, it was the fact that life, liberty, and property existed beforehand that caused men to make laws in the first place. In fact, there's no shortage of sentiment among our founding fathers and proponents of liberty that our property rights are sacred and a pillar of the rule of law. Every writer and every commentator in America refers to the United States as a democracy of free enterprise capitalism with individual privacy and property rights. This is foolish nonsense to any perceptive individual.
Yeah.
Well, what happened? The system and its paid politicians still repeat those high-sounding terms like freedom of the individual and free enterprise, which is like a sedative to the crowd. The terms private and property no longer mean what they say. They are cruel deceptions that fool the mind that yearns for human freedom. The fact is that in America, we have massive regulation and regimentation. Be sure you understand that today, our government thinks that you and your property are its business and its property. Most Americans see Congresses, past and present, inserting fingers into every aspect of daily life, especially with respect to how one can own one's own property and how one can use your own property. Big government statistics shun and reject the protections of the Constitution in order to determine your property rights and to impose taxes and rules on you to create an apparatus designed to maintain control over you, despite this being the land of the free. Americans no longer have property rights. You think you do? Try going a year or two without paying tribute to the king, property taxes, and you'll see who owns your property. The state or local government will seize your property and sell it to the highest bidder
Eminent domain, right?
or its favorite crony, corporatist landlord. Try building a structure on your property or even remodeling your home. If you don't obtain the proper permission or approval for your design, building permits, and inspections, you will be fined and forced to tear your structure down. Failure to do so will result in armed agents of the government invading your property, assaulting and incarcerating you until you comply with the government's demands. Try damming a creek, tampering with the watershed, or capturing water for a pond on your property. You will get a visit. You will get a visit from federal agents representing the Environmental Protection Agency, and the result will be fines, expensive court costs, and possible visits by armed federal agents who will forcibly escort you off your property and into a prison cell.
Jesus.
Excuse me. Try growing livestock or certain plants on your property. Unless you live in an area zoned for agriculture, you will likely get a visit from a local or state federal inspector who will order you to dispose of your animals and or uproot your plants in favor of others approved by the local authorities. Collecting water, yep, Sean's right, the DEP has their own police, and soon the IRS will have their own armed agents. Collecting water falling out of the sky can be a crime. Rainwater. One homeowner was reported in the news to have had.
Do they write explanations for that? I mean, that just seems absolutely mental.
They don't have to. That's what I'm saying.
So if you accidentally leave a bucket outside and it rains during the night, they can haul you off.
Allegedly.
Oh my God.
But some people have bigger items to collect rainwater.
Yeah.
To use. And this is apparently a crime.
That's probably meant.
They have been sneaking up on us.
Yeah.
In multiple ways over multiple years. And because it happened little by little, nobody said anything.
Yes, that's it. That's how they work, little by little.
It is a
nooks and crannies.
It is a repeat of what the Nazis did to the Jewish population.
Yeah.
It wasn't all at once. It was little by little by little. And now they're doing it to us. So a homeowner was reported in the news to have all the proper necessary permits for his reservoirs, but the state revoked them arbitrarily. They don't have to give a reason. Permits for a pond? When do you have to ask the king for permission to put a pond on your own property? When that occurs, the property is not yours. You're merely squatting.
Yep.
Anyone seeking human liberty, privacy, and private property under the mental deception of the altruistic socialism being foisted on us today is tilting at windmills. In fact, one of the 10 planks of communism is the abolition of property in land and application of all land to public purpose. Every American who votes will tell you, if asked, that he or she believes in life, liberty, and property. Yet he or she votes for a political cabal that is progressively undermining basic liberty and transferring property to the state without payment. The only reason that people can be seduced into destroying their own liberty is because over time they have unknowingly adopted the morality of the state. This has numbed their senses so they don't know that political oratory is an appeal for sanction of the plunder. The electorate never understand the issues because none are ever truthfully stated. True liberty means voting for power and protection against the tyranny of political rulers. Freedom and liberty do not originate with society and extend to the individual. It's the other way around. Be careful, America.
Yeah, holy smokes.
So this kind of terrorism begins at the top. 1 year ago, we had the disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan. Yeah, Corinne, but it's the truth.
Yeah, it's
So,
completely insane.
As a result of that disaster, President Diaper transported 80,000 Afghan people here. None were vetted. They are now dispersed among the population, and we don't know who they are. They've never been identified. They've never been fingerprinted. The Department of Defense, Department of Homeland Security, and the FBI are complicit. They are committing violent crimes across the nation, including rape, assault, and domestic violence.
Yeah.
The FBI and Attorney General Merrick Garland are too busy going after U.S. citizens. For example, parents who oppose critical race theory, they're domestic terrorists. Citizens who oppose unrestricted abortion, domestic terrorists. Any citizen with conservative views. And of course, President Trump. This week, we learned that the Department of Justice is unwilling to release the affidavit used to obtain the search warrant for the unprecedented raid on Mar-a-Lago. The biased magistrate judge who authorized the search warrant has given the Department of Justice until Thursday, August 25th, to release the affidavit with explanations for any redactions. The Department of Justice's argument for secrecy is that it is conducting a criminal investigation of Donald J. Trump. This is after the Russia hoax. This is after the Mueller investigation. This is the hallmark of a banana republic that is targeting the most likely Republican candidate of 2024. So what is this, Russia hoax 3.0, 4.0?
Right.
And
Meanwhile, what's happening with Hunter Biden's laptop from hell? That's completely disappeared off the news, right?
Well, the Biden crime family has not been investigated.
Yeah.
No politician with ties to China has been investigated. You have Mitch McConnell, whose father-in-law is classmate with members of the Chinese Communist Party. You have Swalwell, who slept with a Chinese spy.
Ooh.
You have Dianne Feinstein, who's more incoherent than President Diaper, who had a driver, a personal limo driver or whatever, who was a paid agent of the Chinese Communist Party. You have Nancy Pelosi, whose son, after taking lessons from Hunter Biden, is sitting on a committee owned by the Chinese and getting paid for doing nothing. Paul Sr. and Paul Jr. Pelosi both have made money on mainland China. You have the Chinese infiltration of universities, medical labs. You have the Chinese launching the virus that decimated the world. So if we can have an honest election in the future, it is the number one reason to reelect Donald Trump, not for his policies, but for their fear of him.
And this time around, I hope he really sticks to his guns when he says he's going to throw this person behind bars and that person, because Hillary got let off. And I felt at the time that was a bad decision.
He made a lot of bad decisions because he wasn't a politician.
Yeah.
A lot of the people he put into his
Inner circle.
In inner circle were economists and business people who don't care about America. He did. He was trying to do the best job, but he wasn't a politician. He gave Jeff Sessions the AG spot, and Sessions stabbed him in the back. He made Pence his vice president, and Pence stabbed him in the back. And Pence thinks he's going to run.
The coward Pence.
Right.
Yes.
So more about Pence in a minute. The message of the January 6th trials are that leftists are allowed to violently riot and burn buildings to the ground and assault police with impunity. Conservatives are not allowed to do anything. If they do, it's insurrection. Yep, Liz. Yep.
Yeah.
So Liz says there are a lot of senators and Congress people that have sons on boards in companies in Ukraine as well. Yes. And this whole Ukraine thing, and a bit more about that in a minute.
Yeah.
Conservatives will be forced to live in fear of being rounded up again and again. Think of the people who were arrested and shackled, like Peter Navarro. I mean, they could have told him to, come in to face charges. No, they arrested and shackled him at an airport to humiliate him publicly.
Yeah.
And anyone who was ever associated with Trump or with even Dr. Simone Gold was arrested and dragged out of her home in shackles. I guess they were afraid of her stethoscope. Roger Stone, all of these people. Now, you know that Congress passed a new law, the Inflation Reduction Act, which will not reduce inflation.
No.
So they're saying that Manchin was duped to support the bill, thinking that he would get stuff for West Virginia. Now,
I guarantee you, though, there's going to be the Green New Deal hidden in this new bill again. I guarantee you.
Well, let's not be naive. Manchin doesn't give a crap about West Virginia. He received a payoff to approve this bill because when he was interviewed, he knew right away. He couldn't say it reduced inflation or did anything. He got paid off. He's as dirty as Pelosi. He is as despicable as Mitch McConnell. He is a sellout. He is not an American. He sold out for money. So there are going to be 87,000 new IRS agents. They will be authorized to be armed, and their goal is to target local business or small business. In other words, not the big chains, not Home Depot, not Walmart or Kmart, if they're still in business. It's the private businesses that may have some cash receipts. They will go after them because they will not be able to afford the legal fees to fight the government. That's what they do. If you try to fight them, they bankrupt you. That's what they did to General Michael Flynn. Now let's look at the past. He allegedly lied to Mike Pence. So did that really happen? I don't think so. I think Pence knew from the deep state that they had to get rid of Michael Flynn, and he made it up. Similarly, Pence was in charge of the task force for the coronavirus. And it was at that task force that Fauci and Birx, without presenting any data, got the mandates and the lockdowns and all these policies in place without citing a single statistic. On the contrary, Scott Atlas, who was called in by Trump, cited data and statistics and proof, and Pence ignored him. So the red states can enforce a moratorium on federal agency operations until the threats of political abuse are addressed. But are they going to do that? And are they going to be successful? And what if the Fed freezes your bank account? They can go into states and do all this kind of stuff because they have become too powerful. And now the citizenry fear the federal government. It should be the other way around.
Yeah.
And they've done that by fixing elections, by scaring us, by imprisoning us without due process.
Making us feel it's us against them. That's like a bad thing.
So, but and it does sound great. Well, but how are the red states doing with illegals who are dumped in red states in the middle of the night by the federal government?
You mean my new neighbors? Yeah, right next door, right on the corner. We share the building, right? I got these people that, I mean, brand new cars, brand new phones, brand new this. No curtains in the windows for a couple months now, but okay. And I saw them bringing in like particle board and 2x4s to build up walls because they keep coming in and nobody's coming out. It's like a refugee, bug trap. But yeah, that's it. And I shake my head, and it's this is going. I'm just one example. This is going on everywhere.
All over the place, all over the place. They are,
and you don't know who they are. You don't know if they're criminals. You don't know because they let all these bad people in.
What do you mean you don't know if they're criminals? They're here illegally.
Illegally, they are
That's
criminals.
A crime
Yes, ma'am.
Ab
Yes.
initio. At the start,
Yes.
they have broken our law. Even though President Diaper, who is not running the country because he is so mentally impaired, it's painful. It's almost elder abuse, except he deserves every punishment out there for betraying America. And he's betrayed America for 50 years. This isn't new. He's just,
Yeah. The
impaired.
president who prefers Pampers.
So if the once and future president wins in 2024, on day one, he has to reopen the energy, close the border, round up all illegals. And the thing is, let me read what Liz is saying.
Watch what you say here.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe just read. It's what happened in 22. We're going to talk about the thing that happened in 22.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. So on day one, aside from reopening all the energy leases and the Keystone Pipeline, closing the border, if those IRS agents have been hired, you send them to the border to prevent anyone from crossing. And if the cartel starts shooting them, oh well. You have to round up all illegals. Now, in the past, sanctuary cities and states have not participated. I find that interesting because they're objecting to having illegals bust from Texas into their cities. So they want the concept, but they don't want to do the work. And you can't have it both ways. If you're a sanctuary city or state, then you are welcoming illegals and you're going to support them. There was an interesting piece on the TV the other night about a little town in Georgia where the sheriff was called because a bus from Texas bound for Washington, D.C. was allowing illegals to get off the bus and just go into the community. This is a tiny little rural community. And it turned out that those bus drivers wanted to get paid for driving to Washington without driving to Washington. So they were letting the illegals off. So they rounded up the illegals, put them back on the bus, and sent the bus on to Washington. So everybody's cutting corners to make money.
Everybody's corrupt. From the president of the United States down to frickin' bus drivers.
That's
they're
right.
all corrupt.
It's amazing. And they expect us to obey the law if we're conservatives, and they will come after us.
Yeah. And they think we're crazy because we talk about this. It's actually happening, folks.
So, also on day one, he has to appoint a special prosecutor to investigate Joe Biden, Hunter Biden,
Oh,
the Biden
shit,
family,
yeah.
Hillary, and Barack. It's got to be done. They've sold out this country. They have committed crime after crime. The Russia collusion, how about Hillary selling our uranium to Putin for $145 million? Does it matter that she got the money was collected in Canada through the Clinton Foundation? She did it. She betrayed us. Bill Clinton made $750,000 per speech for access to Hillary Clinton when she was Secretary of State. How is that legal? This has to be investigated. And every politician who received Chinese money has to be investigated by a special prosecutor. This is treason, and we hang people who commit treason. That's what General George Washington said, and that's what has to be done again. We must restore power to the people, and not as, the Black Panther movement, as American citizens. And can this happen? The globalists need a weak America. And China is our major creditor. So if they dump the dollar as world reserve currency, it will devalue the dollar even more. And then wait till you see what kind of inflation we have in this country. So what does that mean? China is not in good economic shape because they have this zero COVID policy and they keep shutting down their country.
Yeah.
So they're in bad shape economically. So what are they going to need to do? They're going to need to invade Taiwan.
Right.
And that's coming. And it has to happen before there's a Republican president in 2024.
And you know what? Since we're talking about the 2024.
Yeah.
Okay. China makes everything. Everything.
Yes.
We rely on these people for everything. No,
You know why? That's because our politicians sold our manufacturing and our companies to China for a kickback.
Jesus Christ.
That's why I'm saying China has purchased the United States of America. They've purchased our institutions of higher learning, our universities, our laboratories, our departments, the FDA.
Did I tell you about TikTok?
Well, TikTok is an abomination.
Well, no. But in China,
Yeah.
TikTok is completely different.
Oh, absolutely. They're promoting
They're
the
promoting
military,
education,
yes.
the sciences, this and that. And you look at our TikTok, and it's boobs and butts, and people doing stupid things.
Or people following that game and falling off stairs and ledges and all that.
Right.
I don't remember what it was called.
So that's them creating these social media platforms to purposely try to blame. What is that? Like what would they brainwash us?
Brainwashing
into having only a 5-second attention span, because that's what they create in people.
They will conquer.
Every video is 5 seconds, 5 seconds, 5 seconds, 5 seconds.
They will conquer America without firing a shot.
Yes.
By making us dumb and complacent and out of shape.
Yes.
Because people just sit home, do their video games. Nobody gets fresh air. Nobody exercises.
But it makes you wonder, though. They're doing that because they know it's bad, because they're not giving it to the same thing to their people, and they could make a fortune doing so, but they don't.
They are out for world domination.
Yes, ma'am.
They're cooperating with the globalists because once America is out of the picture, China and the globalists will have it out.
Mm,
And China believes they can defeat the globalists because most of the globalists have their wealth based on Chinese money.
yeah.
So, you look at the instability of the world 2 years after they got rid of Trump is astonishing.
Oh my
I'm-
God, you're
So
right.
you look at,
Yes.
for instance, Russia and Ukraine. I saw something on the news today that Ukraine is fighting back. What a crock. Nobody knows what's going on there. But in the meantime, Europe has decided to stop supporting Ukraine with endless handouts.
Yeah.
But President Diaper is still borrowing money from China to give to Ukraine. Half of Americans don't have the money to buy meat or pay for gas to go to
Yeah.
work. They're suffering, and President Diaper is funding illegals and funding the Ukraine war with borrowed money. It is
But what you said earlier about what do you call it? Oh, I've just blanked on it now. But
the
go ahead.
instability of the world.
Yeah.
So he's desperate to make a deal with Iran. Iran is a terrorist nation. They're trying to get a nuclear bomb to bomb America, and Biden is trying to make a deal with them. And the first nuke is going to fall on Israel. So you have this situation where the people in Gaza started bombing Israel. They provoked the attack. The Iron Dome stopped some of the weapons, and some of the bombs were ill. Um, the guidance system was wrong, so they bombed their own people and blamed it on Israel.
So they were
So-
hacked.
No, they're just, and
Shoddily made, is that it?
they
Or
don't care. They put primary schools on top of bomb sites, so if the Israelis defend themselves, oh, you killed a child. So someone in the UN condemned the Palestinians in Gaza for starting the attack on Israel. Do you know what happened to that person? That person was forced to apologize, demoted, transferred out of the section. So the UN, which sits in New York City, is anti-American and rabidly anti-Israel.
Jeez.
The UN has to be kicked out of New York, defunded. America's the one who funds them, and they knock us every step of the way. No more Mr. Nice Guy. This has to be fixed. And that's another thing Trump has to do on day one if he regains the presidency.
Yeah.
And not that I don't like DeSantis, but I don't think he's got the cojones.
I think he's too young. I think he needs to another handful of years to get the chops.
You need someone who is going to be tough
Yeah.
and
clean house. Who knows where the house needs to be cleaned?
Washington must be destroyed, not by a nuke from Putin, but by the American citizenry acting to elect someone who will do the job. Washington is anti-American. Washington is anti-citizen. They must be dismantled in a surgical precision strike from within.
Yeah, we're going to sweep up the political dust bunnies.
So a little bit about medicine. The director of the CDC, Rochelle Walensky, has admitted that the CDC mishandled the pandemic. Apparently, there was a confidential report, a review of their handling, and this was all she was willing to say. Note that the report has not been made public.
Just for our listeners, instead of using any particular names, we're just going to say the thing that went down in 22. Okay. We have to talk in code, unfortunately, because, Big Brother is watching and going to shut us down. Yeah.
But Director Walensky did issue 2 or 3 mandates
Mhm.
or edicts
Yeah,
this
there you go.
in the past couple of weeks. One was to institute the wearing of masks in public places. An additional dose of the vaccine should be administered to the immunocompromised. And she also issued an edict for the constant wearing of masks to avoid contracting monkeypox, which has been declared a public health emergency. And even though it's only transmitted through sexual contact, you must wear a mask to protect you from monkeypox. In addition, the Trump White House is being blamed for the CDC's mishandling of the pandemic, because I don't know, but it is their fault that the CDC mismanaged the pandemic. And once again, I will remind you that it was former Vice President Pence who was strolling around Iowa, the Iowa State Fair yesterday, who headed the task force and rubber stamped all suggestions from Fauci and Birx. Birx did admit last month that she made up all her suggestions. The CDC's current budget is $12 billion a year, and we have to see what new edicts and mandates they come up with in the future based on this internal report that they I'm sorry. Jeanette says the monkeypox spreaders are wearing the mask on the wrong end. LOL. Yeah, well, so the other thing Walensky admits that as a result of this, the CDC has lost the public's trust. I mean, this is like very, very basic. So I'm not sure what the masks are going to do. I'm not sure what additional immunization is going to do. And I am anxiously awaiting new edicts on monkeypox. And remember, as of last week, there were 6,600 reported cases in the United States. And we have
Isn't it just primarily being spread by gay men?
correct.
It is.
Yes.
So I shouldn't be getting the sweats or anything like that.
No,
No. Okay.
it's not a respiratory virus
Right.
that can be spread by coughing or breathing.
Yeah.
It is not that easy to get. You've got to have the injection of fluids.
Right.
Many of the people who are contracting monkeypox are HIV positive, because that too is a disease spread by bodily fluids. So you can get it from a
Yeah.
blood transfusion, but blood is now screened against HIV, but bodily fluids. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Well, to our homosexual listeners, please, take precautions.
right. And we discussed last week that a month of abstinence would probably end the incidence
Yeah,
of
like a
monkeypox.
month, 2 months.
Right. So, again, I am unsure why this was declared a pandemic with 6,600 cases, but you don't know
Yeah.
what kind of juice you can get out of another pandemic.
2 months though. 2 months. Just reacquaint yourself with yourself. You know what I mean?
So I did see a very interesting 6 feet apart. Yeah. I did see a very interesting quote on Telegram, and I thought I would share it with you.
Deborah says Barbara babes need to get together for lunch.
So it said, if you're still unvaccinated out there, remember that you resisted $1 trillion worth of global advertising, and that makes you being a badass right there.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was incredible.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
I thought that was really cool. The whole issue of vaccines for everything, God gave us an immune system. Natural immunity is great. I still believe in the polio vaccine. And if you've got a question about what your children should be getting, it's the polio vaccine. My children did get measles, mumps, rubella because that was considered great. They did get chicken. They didn't get the chicken pox vaccine. I guess that's out there. So they could get shingles later on. As for the shingles vaccine, the pneumonia vaccines, now they are issuing disclaimers about the possibility of Guillain-Barré syndrome and the side effects. So
sounds like a fashionable French hat.
yeah, no, it's a neurologic disease. It causes paralysis. A lot of people end up on a respirator. It is reversible a lot of the time, but it's not a good thing.
Yeah.
So this is sad. This is sad. The state of America is sad.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm hoping that we are able to have a free and fair election in 2022. Voter ID is essential. It is not racist.
No.
It is not undemocratic. It is American. In France, they have free and fair elections. Everyone must show voter ID. They have paper ballots, and they have the results that night. It is true we are a much larger country. However, we need to have voter ID, paper ballots, no Dominion software, and no middle of the night ballot harvesting or mules. If we can get a free and fair election in 2022, I think we're on our way to saving America. She's worth saving. And in 2024, it is my fervent hope that the once and future president is in the White House again and will straighten out what the globalists have done for America.
Like kick ass, take names, that kind of thing.
Yeah. It is. As for medicine, I would love to see a return to the greatness of American medicine.
Yeah.
We are no longer great. There are other countries who are much better than we are, who are on the leading edge of research and cures and everything. American medicine is about money and endless tests and never using the 4-letter word cure. So, for as long as possible, I will be there for you. I'm in Toms River, 732-244-2060. And if you have pain, there's Dr. Jasper.
I just want to say again, like we said at the top of the show, unfortunately, the guidelines that these social media platforms are going to be getting worse now. So in fact, I have every feeling that we are going to be kicked off of YouTube because of this show. But yeah, so it's very important for our regular listeners, especially on YouTube. Okay. to go to our Rumble page. The link for our Rumble page should be in the description. Just go there. Just
On Facebook?
on Facebook, on
Right.
YouTube, everywhere. I put the description in underneath.
Okay.
So please go to Rumble. That's our back door. That's our safety policy. When Big Brother shuts us all down. And so anyway, but yes, Dr. Gabriel Jasper, the master of pain himself, he does a show sometimes on Saturday mornings, right before ours. And that show is called Painless with Dr. Gabriel Jasper. And our benefactor, Dr. Michael Kachmar, he has 2 shows. He's got Scrubbing Up with Dr. Michael Kachmar and Lifeguarding with Dr. Michael Kachmar. And all of these shows can be found, yes, on our Rumble page. They're all in one page.
And I'd like to leave. Here's my shirt of the day.
Wait, hold on. Liz just said, wait, need to see your shirt.
Here it is.
Born Free. We got a red, white, and blue eagle and on an American shield. That's wonderful. And then it says 1776.
And I'd like to leave you with a quote from Psalms. Some trust in chariots and some in horses, but we will remember the name of the Lord. So thank you for sharing this hour with me. Time is our most valuable asset, and I thank you for spending it with me. And as always, this is Dr. Barbara Schneider signing off for Radio Free America.
What's your phone number?
732-244-2060. And a fond farewell to Toms River, Ocean County, New Jersey, and the Banana Republic of my beloved country. Have a great week. Be free. See you next week.
For more information about Dr. Barbara Schneider and all the things we sometimes talk about on our shows, please go to goseebarb.com. Okay.